Okay, so we are here with Ms. Daisha Crittenden, and I'm super excited about speaking with her today. As everyone knows, I like to talk to people about living their best life. And, with COVID-19 going on in 2020, I haven't had a chance to talk to someone that's actually been affected that's at the university level. I did have the opportunity to talk to a student that was at the high school level, but this is my first interview with someone that's been affected that's actually in college. And so we're really grateful to have Daisha with us today. She is a rising senior and at the University of Missouri, Kansas City, has one more year, and then she's going to go into the teaching profession. And of course, I'm super happy about that, being an educator myself. So I'm super excited about having Daisha with us. She's going to share with us not only what's going on in her own life as a university student, but also how COVID-19 has affected her and the recent social unrest that has occurred because of what happened with George Floyd in Minneapolis. And she's taken a lead on this in the city of St. Louis, and we're super excited about hearing what that is all about in the organization that she founded with some of her fellow students from high school that are now in college, just like she is. So welcome to the show, Daisha. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. So thank you so much for joining us today. And again, like I was saying, we just wanted to get your perspective on being a college senior, how this whole situation has affected you that we're in right now, and has affected everybody in the world, but just from your perspective as a college student. But before we get into that, I just want you to take a moment and just kind of introduce yourself to the community. Tell us a little bit about your journey, your family, and how you ended up to this point as a rising senior at the University of Missouri, Kansas City.
So hi, you guys. My name is Daisha Crittenden, like Uncle Joe just told you guys. I am originally from St. Louis. Like I said, attend the University of Missouri, Kansas City. Graduated in May 2021, and I am an elementary education major. I am also the oldest of five. I love to say that because a lot of people ask me, like, why are you going into the teaching career, into the teaching profession? What made you choose that profession? So first off, like I said, I'm the oldest. So I've been around kids my whole life. My mom has also been a teacher for quite some time. And I was also given the opportunity to go to her different schools as well throughout her journey through being a teacher and then actually becoming a secretary. So I've been around kids my whole life. I love kids. And I also feel like they are our future. So we have to start at a young age to try to help, I'm not going to say shape their minds, but help push their mindset because they are able to comprehend everything that's going on in the world, especially with what's going on right now with the COVID-19. Like, they know exactly what's going on because they're living it just like we are. So, yes.
Awesome. Well, that's cool. And so you're setting a phenomenal example, trailblazing for your brothers, and I'm sure they're super proud of you, as well as your mom. I know she's proud of you. She always brags on you. So that's really, really cool. And so that sounds really good. So, I mean, this 2019-2020 school year was your junior year in college, and it started off normal, and I'm sure that the fall semester was pretty uneventful. But then we get into 2020, and it starts off pretty uneventful, but just kind of tell us how this previous semester, the fall semester, affected you.
So this previous semester has actually been a little crazy, only because I was, like I said, originally in KC in school, and then I had to just up and move back home, which has not been a bad thing at all. Like, I really miss my family, so being able to be back home and be around my family and be able to help the twins as well with their homework. They're in sixth grade. Okay. So it's been really crazy, but it's definitely been very eye-opening because it just shows how much patience the whole entire world has to have with what's going on, whether you're in school, whether you're working, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Like, you have to just take one day at a time. Right. And that's exactly what I was doing with my schoolwork. And not to, brag on myself or anything like that, but
Oh, yeah, brag on yourself.
I received a 4.0 this entire year. So fall 2019 and then this last semester as well. So even though the situations was definitely crazy from the fall versus now, I was still able to be successful with my schoolwork.
Excellent. That sounds really good. So this semester you made a 4.0, even with all that was going on in the
Even
world.
with all this craziness and having to move back home in 4 days, yes,
Wow.
I still was able to obtain a 4.0 GPA.
Wow, that says a lot about your character, and I commend you for that. That's awesome. So what's your overall GPA?
My overall GPA is a 3.8. Trying to get it as high as possible, trying to graduate with as much honors as I can. And I feel like I'm almost there. Feel like I'm one step away.
So Daisha, I have to ask you, like, where does this perseverance and this sense of determination that I'm feeling from you, like, where did all this come from? I'm just very impressed.
Well, my mom is the person that this really came from. I want to prove a lot to her, even though I don't have to, but like in my head, I feel like I have to prove a lot to her, and to my younger brother. So, knowing that they are watching me 24/7 definitely pushes me to be the best that I can be. So, for example, my little brothers can follow up and be actually better than me because
Absolutely.
I want everybody has to win, and a lot of people know that you sometimes need a leader to help lead the pack, and that's how I feel that I am, as well as being, like I said, the oldest of 5. So
that's awesome. Well, that's really, really great, and I'm sure you are looking forward to your senior year and some sense of normalcy. We don't know how that's going to look next year, but I'm sure you'll get through it just like you got through this last semester. I have to believe you're going to be doing some student teaching in your senior year. Okay, where are you going to be at?
I will be at I'll be at AFIA. Sometimes I get the name mixed up. The Integrated Arts School.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually was at this school my freshman year, thanks to the IUE, which is the Institute for Urban Education, which is at UMKC. A lot of campuses, a lot of universities do not have this opportunity for a lot of education majors. So that's something that definitely helped push me into even more being into the education profession. But yes, I'll be at AFIA this school year. I'm already pretty close with a lot of the teachers and even the superintendent. So I'm really excited for this school year. Like I said, I don't know what grade level I'm going to be in, but that does not matter because I can teach whatever students you put in front of me, I got them, period.
So. Awesome. I have some tells me I have no doubt about that. So do you have a preference? I mean, obviously, elementary is K through 6, so you could be a lower elementary teacher or upper level. Like, what's your preference, or do you even have one?
I really don't have a preference, but these past couple years I have been in lower elementary. So actually, I've been in first grade a lot. So I'll be excited to be in first grade, second. It doesn't, like I said, it really doesn't matter. But I do have a little bit more experience in the first grade setting, and I'm okay with that. I love the babies. I love all kids.
For sure. Yeah, I have a first grade daughter, so yeah, those are pretty formative years and super important. Like even with this COVID-19, just a personal perspective, like it was much more difficult having to make sure she got what she needed versus my son who's getting ready to go to the 5th grade. So, yeah, I mean, I can definitely see you doing that, and I'm sure that you won't have any problem getting a job. So did you get a scholarship when you went to the University of Missouri, Kansas City?
Yes, the Institute for Urban Education. I got that scholarship. It's definitely helped me financially. But like I said, it's also gave me an opportunity to see the classroom at 18 years old. Like I was in the classroom at 18, in a first grade classroom, like I said, at AFIA, doing different lessons, being in the front of the classroom. So yes, the Institute for Urban Education.
Wow. So how does that work? So they gave you a scholarship. Do you have to give a certain number of years back for that scholarship? How's that?
So the Institute for Urban Education, so once you sign a contract, which you can actually sign in whenever, I signed it straight out of high school because I knew that's exactly what I want to do. I want to be a teacher, so why would I wait? But yes, there is a 4-year minimum of how long you have to teach after you graduate college, but that doesn't mean anything to me because you have an automated job. Like your job, you're going to get a job before you even graduate. So
Very
that
true.
is a very big advantage over a lot of other universities. They don't have that. They can't say that they have that. That 99% of their students graduate with the job before they even graduate. So it's great. And I also get the opportunity to teach in either the KCMO, so Kansas City, Missouri Public School District, or the KCK, so the Kansas City, Kansas Public School District. I don't know which side I'm gonna lean on yet, but AFIA is actually on the KCMO side. So
Sure. So just for those who aren't familiar, thank you for sharing that, because people always think there's only one Kansas City. There's actually two Kansas City. There's Kansas City, Missouri. There's Kansas City, Kansas. There's Kansas City, Missouri Public Schools. There's Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools. And then you're going to actually be doing student teaching at a charter school in Kansas City, Missouri. So lots of options out there for you.
yes.
Yeah, so that's good. I think you're going to have to make some tough choices. So yeah, I think you're going to get offers from all of those places. So yeah, I'm happy for you in that regard. Do you see yourself, after you start teaching, furthering your education, maybe getting your master's degree?
Yes, I actually want to get my master's degree in special education. I would have actually wanted that on the undergrad side, but my school doesn't offer that for undergrads. And I mean, I definitely understand why. They say it's because they don't feel like a lot of 21/22-year-olds are able have the capability of, being in front of a class full of students that do have special needs. And
Sure.
I totally understand that. But yes, I definitely want to, once I finish my undergrad and a few years in the KCMO, KCK Public School District, I definitely want to go back and get my master's in special ed.
That's very good. Yeah, and honestly, you won't, and I'm saying this as someone that's also certified in special education, you'll never have to worry about a job for the rest of your life if you get that special ed certification. So, and I'm talking about anywhere in this country and anywhere, honestly, in this world, because I've actually worked abroad. So I can tell you that's a very high demand field. Elementary ed is too, but I mean, elementary ed combined with special ed, like you would be employable for the rest of your life, which is very smart on your part, very strategic. I like that. That's good. All right, so you did great this semester. You had a 4.0. You're back in St. Louis, and then of course we all know around the world what happened on Memorial Day with George Floyd. Can you talk a little bit about where you were when you heard this happen and how this affected you and the activism that you undertook after this happened?
Yes, so I was actually right here in St. Louis, Missouri when the George Floyd incident happened. Everybody's seen it all over social media. It was everywhere. The first place I saw it was on Facebook. That was the only time I actually watched the video. And it was very sickening to me and my 3 other friends, which we did not have organization before any of this happened, before the George Floyd incident happened, before any Mike Brown, Breonna Taylor, anything like that. We didn't have anything organized. So we started seeing more and more videos and more people talking about the situation. And we're like we're upset just as well as everybody else. Like, this is upsetting. This is ridiculous. And how many times do our Black brothers and sisters have to get killed on camera? And they're the people that do it to them. So most of them are the police. They get no justice. There's no justice that's served ever. And we saw that with the Mike Brown situation back in 2014. So we knew we had to do something. We knew we had to do something in ASAP because there wasn't that many protests and stuff like that going around in St. Louis. So myself and my 3 other friends, we decided that we wanted to, create a protest to highlight just the injustice that our Black and brown sisters and brothers are going through. And after that, it was good. So I want to just go a little bit back to like the very, very first day that we actually talked about the situation. So I actually woke up to a bunch of group texts on the 29th. And we all was just, enraged with what was going on. And we was like, you know what, we got to do something. Let's put a flyer out. Let's start a protest. So we put the flyer out, made it in like, no joke, 5 minutes. And after that, I can't even tell you how much support and how many shares that we got within the first like 2 days. Like, we already had hundreds of people saying that they were either going or interested in going. We had people asking us, DMing us on all our social media accounts, like, how can we help? Where are you guys planning on doing this at? This, and this. And we didn't even think that it would get as much attention as it did, but once it got that attention, we couldn't back down. Like, we had to make sure everything was correctly structured, for real. So that goes with the different speakers that we had actually speaking in our protest, which we had 8 of them. Just the amount of supplies, the ample amount of supplies that we received, the route from the city hall downtown to the police headquarters on Olive. It was just a lot of planning, a lot of long nights, long FaceTime calls, Zoom interviews, so much. We had to make different Google forms to see who was interested in being the speaker. We actually sent out acceptance and rejection letters, like everything. We wanted to make sure it was very organized. We didn't want, because like I said, our names are out there. Our names were attached to this protest and still are, you know.
Right.
And we wanted to make sure that we emphasize the fact that this does not have to be a peaceful protest, but it definitely has to be a non-violent protest.
Absolutely.
We kept saying, just before and after our protest, like, we do not condone any acts of violence, period. We don't care what happens after this protest, but we need everybody to know that this specific protest between 2:30 to whenever everybody left, which was about 5 o'clock, this is non-violent. Do not go towards don't try to agitate the police officers. And if they try to agitate you, keep it moving, which is another reason why we had someone actually read our rights to everybody. So everybody knew what they should and what they shouldn't do, what they should and what they shouldn't be looking for. Legal observers, not advisors, legal observers. We even had an ASL interpreters. We had 4 of them to make sure that everybody was included. We wanted to make sure that our deaf community was included in that protest, because a lot of you don't even think about it, but a lot of people aren't able to be a part of something because they forget about those little knickknacks. Like, we made sure that Black trans lives mattered. So we had a couple people from Pride talk about just Black trans lives, and Nina Pop, for example, Tony McDad, that all passed away because of, you know, homophobia within the Black community and just communities in general. So it was a lot of long nights. It was very time consuming, but it was very worth it.
How many people attended? We'll say about 5,000 people, if not more. But that's I'm saying about 5,000 people. Everybody, it was just community. Like, it was a bunch. Like, it was a lot of allies there. It was a lot of allies, but it was also it was some brown and Black people, but it was more allies than anything. Wow.
And it was just.
So it was very diverse. So you had Black, white, Hispanic, everything.
All different socioeconomic statuses. Like, it was a very, very diverse crowd, which is another reason why we wanted to make sure we had diverse speakers.
Sure.
To be able to reach out to every person in that crowd, period, point blank. So yeah.
So, you know, I'm just sitting here thinking while you're talking, I'm like, and I have some questions for you, and I'm not saying you would have the answers, but, you know, this happened in Minneapolis, and we know the history of what happened in St. Louis and Ferguson. Why do you think this has resonated, this particular death with George Floyd has resonated, not just in Minneapolis where it happened, but all over the United States and the world?
I think because we're tired. We're all just tired of seeing our Black and brown brothers and sisters being killed on camera by the police, by white supremacy groups, you know. And it's finally time to make a change. Like, I think this is I don't know. I think it's just my generation that is just that's just done. You know, we're just tired. We're tired, and we feel like our voices are finally being heard. So why not keep pushing? Like, so yeah, I think at the end of the day, to answer your question, we're all just tired. America's tired. The world is tired. The world is tired, which is why you've been seeing different protests that's happening in London, South Africa, like everywhere. So
was the actual protest that you guys organized, was it the biggest in the state of Missouri?
Yes, it is. it was definitely the biggest in Missouri, not just St. Louis, in Missouri. So yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy.
So after this happened, obviously you and your colleagues, you guys started an organization. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, so we started the organization. It's called JustUs4, the number 4. You guys can follow us on Facebook at JustUs4. And then on Twitter and Instagram, our name is JustUs4STL. So remember the number 4. And one of the reasons why we started this organization was because we originally did not want our names out there, period. Like, I know it was on a Facebook group and all that, but still, like, our names weren't, like, we didn't put our names out there. But there were other people that were, like, kind of helping us and stuff like that. And since we didn't want our names out there, they ended up taking our credit. So it's like, no, we put a lot of time and effort into that protest. And for other people, outsiders, to be trying to take credit like that, that's utterly ridiculous. It's not fair. And then also, we didn't want this to only be the only protest, the only type of like impactful event in St. Louis, June 7th. Like, we wanted something, and with that being said, the organization that will keep pushing for equality, that will keep pushing for our demands. So, for example, one of our demands is to defund the police, and because there's so many others like social services, education, that do not get that funding that the police do, and it's not fair, you know.
Right.
So with that being said, we want to keep going. Like, we wanted to make sure that everybody knew, like, this is not a one and done. This is not a one-hit wonder. Like, this is forever. This is our lives. We're fighting for all of our lives, period.
Absolutely. So when I think about, true change, and I'm saying this as someone that was actually born in 1968 when Martin Luther King was killed, I think the biggest thing that came out of that was the fact that people started not only just protesting, but, showing and wanting to be heard through the ballot box. How do you see this affecting future, the presidential race that's coming up, obviously, this year, and future races, not only in the state of Missouri, but all over the country?
Well, one thing is for sure, which I didn't mention, voting is very crucial. And at our actual protest, we had quite a few different booths set up so that people could register to vote. And we actually had a really big turnout for people that weren't registered but are now registered. With that being said, the people in power are the ones that are able to dictate what's going on in the streets. And with the most of the people that are in power, because I don't want to generalize everyone, because not everyone is a bad person, in quotes, or making bad decisions for Black and brown communities. But what we're doing with these protesting and calling legislations and doing all that, we're trying to prove to everybody that us as not even kids, because I'm not a kid, I'm a young adult. I'm an adult, actually, because we're all 21. But we want to see change. And with that being said, voting is really one of the most crucial components of how we're going to get change. And me being an education major, I'm out here fighting for my future students. I'm fighting for the students that I even was in a classroom and when I was 18, because those were Black and brown faces. So at the end of the day, which is another reason why we keep saying that this is not a one and done, because this is our lives. We are fighting for our lives. So voting, please, y'all, everybody needs to vote. Everybody needs to vote, because we have to get some people out of power that is not making it better for the whole.
Wow. So what's next for you? Obviously, you're going to be a teacher. But I don't know. I just see more than teaching in your future. Maybe law school, maybe even running for some of these seats yourself. No, who knows? Like, what do you see?
I really don't know what I see. God knows what He sees in me.
Absolutely.
So I'm just literally just taking one day at a time. I definitely can see myself not being a teacher all my life, and that's only because I have just a lot of goals that I want to accomplish. And I mean, I can still teach, but if I do continue to teach, I want to put my all into teaching. I don't want to just kind of detached, do like a little bit here and then no, like, so yeah, I really don't know. I just pray that, I mean, God is gonna steer me the way that He's supposed to, the way that
Absolutely.
it's gonna help me. So yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure, when you were driving back from Kansas City to St. Louis that you didn't envision what has already happened here recently. So
No way.
yeah, you just never know why things happen and how it's going to impact your future. But I'm glad to see that you're open, and I'm also glad to see that you're basically spirit-led, God-led, because He knows and He'll work it out for you. So there's no problem with that. So yeah, I mean, that sounds so good. And I'm very grateful to you for, coming on and just kind of sharing your story, your journey as far as your academics are concerned, how you've gotten involved in your community as far as activism for social justice. And I would love, in the future to, continue the discussion maybe with your other co-founders of this organization, and maybe we can talk a little more in depth, as time goes on. But yeah, I want to commend you for everything that you've done, everything that you're going to continue to do. Super proud of you. And I know that, you have a very, very bright future. And if there's other young people, obviously there are, because you didn't found this organization by yourself. I'm just super proud of your generation, stepping up and taking the bull by the horns and just doing what needs to be done to help better our community. So I commend you on that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we thank you for coming on the show. And I'm sure we're going to hear a lot from Miss Daisha. I'm sure that your future is definitely bright indeed. And just keep striving, keep making those A's, and graduation's right around the corner.
I'm excited.
All right. Well, all the best to you. And we'll definitely talk to you soon, and I will definitely share your information in terms of, how to contact you, how to contact your organization, and the show notes, and then the credits at the end of this video, and all the best.
Thank you so much. So again, you guys, please be looking out on all our social media accounts. There's something coming soon, so the only way you'll be able to find out what that is by looking on our social media. So thank y'all again for having me.
All right. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you.
All right.